Hey guys, welcome back. Does your door do this? Are your hinges shot? Well, stick around. We're going to fix this up. Let's get to it. So if you've been following the series, you might be saying, wait a minute, we're supposed to be working on quarter panels now. We just finished the trunk, floor, and the extensions, and I told you that we were going to work on the quarter panel fitment now. Well, yes, not quite yet. There's one thing that we need to do before you tackle a quarter panel, and that is make sure that your doors remain on the car, first of all, but before you cut that quarter panel off, the original, we need to make sure that these doors are set exactly the way that they should be to the quarter panel as they are now. We want to get these body lines perfect. We want to get the door gap to the quarter correct. We want to make sure that everything is fitting right, because when we put that new skin on, we're going to use the door as one of our guides to make sure that we've got the placement right. So we got to get these doors set right, and I've already showed you that this driver's side door and a little bit of the passenger door, but certainly the driver, because of course that's the one that got used the most. The hinges are gone, so we need to repair those, and we're going to do that. Then we're going to make sure that this door is fit properly, as I said, and then we'll move over to the passenger side. That's what we're going to cover today. Let's get going. And this is what you're going to need for this repair. It's specific to the vehicle. In this case, largely, this will work on most Mopars of the era, that is. I've just got these from Rock Auto. You can get them from just about anywhere. These ones are Dorman brand. You can see the part number there. So what we're going to do is pull the doors off, and then you can see that these come with new bushings. So we'll drill out, after we take the old pins out, we'll drill out the holes in the brackets. We'll put these new bushings in, we'll put the new pins in, and rock and roll. That's all there is to it. And then we'll work on our fitment. So let's get this door off. Okay, let's get the hinges off. Just got the 2 bolts up here, 9/16, and 3 down there. Pretty easy. So we'll go ahead and get those off now. It may be obvious, but just in case, always take the lower bolts off and leave really the last one, just the top one. That's all you need. And then so now you can get yourself in position, use the air ratchet, back it off, and then just back away with the door. At least that's the plan. Let's see how it goes. Okay, doors off, out of the way, and we've got our hinges. Let me show you the problem here. Watch this. Well, and you can hear it too. And then look at the bottom one. That's no bueno. No good. So these are the pins here and here that we're going to punch out this way, and we'll drill, put our bushings in, and this will be good to go. So I noticed something super critical in the back of this bottle. It says don't drink and drive, but nowhere, anywhere, does it say don't drink and restore. Okay, so we've got to drive these pins out from the bottom up. It's a little easier to do this when the hinges are off the car and in a vise, and we could do that, but I don't think it's necessary. Since they're already on the car, we're not ready to take the hinges off yet for media blasting. We just want to get these pins replaced so we can get good door alignment and not have too much unnecessary movement while we're trying to line up that quarter, the new quarter. So what I'm going to do is use this socket, which will clear the top of that pin, and I'm going to use this clamp to try and free up that pin. Look at it started at least. There, it's already pushed up. You could put a little bit of heat on the outer side of the hinge to help with this, but it's not really necessary. You can see it already how much it's pushed up with a punch, and from underneath we should be able to drive this sucker up. Yeah, just like that. There we go. Oh, it looks like this was already done once. Look at that. Huh. Interesting. All right. Okay, so now we're going to do the bottom hinge. Okay, similar process for the bottom. It's not wanting to press out of there. Air hammer could be useful here. Not necessary. Interesting. So only the top was rebushing, not the bottom. You can see here that that has not been modified. From the factory, there was no bushing like you saw on the top. In fact, you can, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, I'll bring it closer, but I'll show you the wear on the pin itself. If you can see that. Just got to get focused there. You can see the wear on that top of that pin. All right. Okay, we got to take out that replacement bushing. No. Be stubborn, will ya? I guess we can drill out the rest. Okay, 3/8 bit straight down is all we need. Assuming the bit's in properly. Okay, then we just take our new bushings and tap them in. and take a new pin. This is the new upper pin, and you can see how nice that sits in there. I don't want to tap it in, but it's got a nice tight fit, so that's what you want. We'll put some lube on that before she goes in, but there we go. So now the same thing on the bottom. All right, I had to switch up to a shorter drill just so I can get it in between here. Straight down. That's all there is to it. New bushings. Ah, come on. All right, I can admit when I was wrong. So the holes required here for these bushings are larger than 3/8. I drilled this old bushing out with a 3/8. That was fine. But in fact, this is a 3/8 hole now, and the bushing won't fit. And so I just wasn't thoughtful enough and really careful enough in measuring it. But you can see here that the size of that bushing is about, hopefully you can read that, 0.4190. The closest drill bit size to that, while not going larger than the hole, because we want these to be secure and a bit of a press fit, is 13/32 drill bit. And so I'm going to try that and see if that will be fine. That it's going to be tight, so we'll have to check and see if necessary I can ream that hole a little larger. I don't recall ever having to do that. I've done this both on the CUDA and the Charger. I did the same procedure, and I don't recall having to do any reaming. So unless these are different size bushings, my hope is that a 13/32 drill bit will put this hole in the right size for this to be a press fit. Let's give it a shot. Yeah, it's going to be a little tight. My fear right now is if I try to force this too much, I'll damage the bushing. So you got to be careful on this one. It's a very tight fit as it is there. Too tight. I think I'm going to damage the bushing. So we'll use this reamer here and just see if we can enlarge these holes ever so slightly. That's getting close though. There. I think that'll be all right. Let's just check. Boy, that makes it really tight. You can tell that it's compressed. Yeah, it's made that a very tight fit now. I think that'll do it. There. Really, the only issue I see now is how tight that is. It's tight on that one too. Well, here's what I think we should do. We'll put some lube. We'll put some lube on it. I don't think that we need to worry about taking any material off here. I don't really want to even use the wire wheel on this because it's coated. So it's going to get media blasted anyway. Let me open up another box. I just want to check the fitment. Yeah, so this is a bushing that, of course, hasn't been pressed in yet, and it slides nice. So it has compressed that bushing, made the diameter just slightly smaller. I think we're going to be okay. It's going to be a tight fit, that is for sure. But let's lube her up and go for it. All right, I think we're ready. Let's see what damage we can do. This bracket goes on this way with this closed face pointed forward. Let's just get a little bit of lube on here. I'm less worried about the tight fit on the top because we know that this has already had one of these done before. See it slide right in there. Just need cloth. All right, let's hammer that in. Send her home. There we go. That's up still just a little bit. There, now it's flush. Nice and tight, that's what you want. Smooth rotation, nice and tight. All right, let's get ready for the last one. Okay, lower hinge. The orientation is important. It differs from driver to passenger, but you need to make sure that these mechanisms here, which by the way are tight. So before I put this back on, I'm gonna work this and get these rotating. These need to rotate. Looks like this hasn't been lubed in many years. So I'm gonna work on these before I do the final fit. But anyway, what I was saying is these mechanisms here that apply the open positions for the door need to hit this bar that you might have a hard time seeing, but they need to rub against that. On the passenger side, it's flipped upside down, so this actually needs to go like that. But on the driver, this is the way that this gets installed. Now, these bushings do add a head, and so these do have an issue clearing, and so we've got to take a little bit of material off this surface and this surface, just so that we can get this to slide over the heads of the bushing there, because I'd like to leave those on. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get these spinning freely, and we'll get a bit of material taken off these two surfaces, and I'll pick you back up there. Okay, now these are all cleaned up, wire wheeled, wire brush, and oiled, and now they both spin freely. They are supposed to be somewhat tight because they want that for the operation of the door. You can see that there's a spring clip in here sandwiched. They're still maybe a little tighter than perhaps they should be, but they're fully lubricated now, and they move, which is critical. And I'll show you why it's critical. The fact that this one in particular was stuck and this was nearly immobile has damaged the part of the hinge there. Let me get you down there and show you what the damage is. Okay, hoping you can see what I'm looking at here, right here. That shiny section there is from that rotator not rotating and taking metal off. In fact, there's a lip here now. There's probably 10, 20 thousandths of steel rubbed off that. And so when the car is fully disassembled and going in for media blast and these hinges are off, I probably should deal with this. It's not awful, but it would have been a lot worse if we didn't catch it. So what I could do there is either replace this piece, which would be, well, it shouldn't be too bad if I could find a used one off Marketplace or something. But the alternative would just be to run some weld beads on here and then grind it down so that it's nice. I don't know that it needs it. I'll have to give that some more thought, decide what I'm going to do there. It is no, it's not symmetrical, so I can't flip it. It is what it is. So I either got to replace this or repair it, or decide if I just leave it. What we'll do is we'll put everything back together, check the operation of the door, and see if later down the road we want to repair that. But that's what happens when you don't lubricate your hinges. So the other thing that I've done is I have taken material off here and on this side so that it can ride over top of the heads of these bushings. I just used the mini belt sander on that to take off just a slight amount of material, probably 10 thousandths on either side, maybe a bit more. And so now this should slide on, yeah, like that. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so now we just need to drive that new one through. We're going to lube it up and hope that it's happy. I'm going to put a little bit inside of here. I just really don't want to damage that bushing. Okay. Now, this is the time where you want to make sure that that hinge is on properly. And yeah, I think that's right. Okay, let's go. Okay, we're going to be all right. There she is. Yeah, now it works much better. Nice. I'm going to put some lube down here just so that while we're working on this car, it's got what it needs to not cause any more damage until this thing is disassembled, media blasted, painted, and put back together. Okay, now let's check for movement. You remember what this hinge was like before we put that bushing in. And now it doesn't move at all. It's perfectly solid. That's what you want. Okay, so now let's get the door ready to go on. Okay, what I'm about to do, I would not recommend you do with a freshly painted car and door. However, since we have a less than perfect paint job here, I think what I can do is do this by myself. I just need to get the top bolt in, and then the stress of holding the door and trying to put the bolt in will be off. So I've got the bolt here, it's lubed and slides in nice. So we just need to get the door in position, held up, and then hand do the bolt, and hopefully we're not going to damage anything. Famous last words, right? What I would do if this door was painted and going on like I did for the other cars is I'd use the engine hoist to hold this thing up using a strap and keep it steady. I have all of this would be masking taped off to prevent any issues, but we're a long way from that. All right, I'll just go ahead and get them all run down, snug, and then we'll do our final positioning. Okay, I've got the door just snugged on those hinges, and now we've just got to check positioning. Remember that the hinge side that we took off controls the door this way. The hinges bolts that we left on the car control it this way. So all we have to do to start off with is make sure that we're flush here and that we're flush down here. And it's very close. At the back, we're out too far, and that's an issue with the striker. The striker needs to move in about 1/8 of an inch to give us the inward motion that we need. It's pretty equal all the way up, about 1/8 of an inch, so it's just the striker. That tells me that the door this way is matched up very close. Yeah, it just needs to come in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is open the door gently and tighten up 2 of the bolts good and tight, and then we'll open and close it once more, make sure we're happy, and then we'll adjust that striker. Very close, if not perfect. Remembering the fender actually isn't positioned exactly right. We have to always start with the back lining up to the quarter, and it's just out too far. The striker's not in the right spot, so let me get the Torx bit for the striker, and we'll get that adjusted. Okay, we've got a Torx 50. Just loosen up the striker, move it in just a little bit. Interesting. It looks like it's already in as far as it's going to go. That's not ideal. Just making sure that the metal plate that sits in the B pillar here is moving freely in this pillar. I think it is. All right, we're going to try that, see what happens. No, it's not catching it. Let me get you in here, show you what we're doing. Okay, so it's all loose. Two things you can do. The striker has movement in and out, which is controlled by these spacers. You can unscrew this entirely and take these spacers out. That's important for door gap alignment that way. Well, not gapping the door, but based on how the door is gapped, to make sure the striker lines up properly with the mechanism in the door. And then behind this pillar here is a bracket with a screw plate, 1/4 inch screw plate behind it that can move around. You can see you can go all the way this way, all the way that way. You can go this way. So I think we want to come out. We want to go all the way down based on what I was seeing earlier, and then out. This is trial and error at the moment. Let's see what that looks like. Hmm. Hmm. It seems like to me that the striker is too high. What's going on with that? And even it's too high in its lowest position. I thought before that that was all about the hinges not being okay. But now I'm thinking it's not to do with that at all. Hmm. So with the striker not in there, of course, you can come in here and look at that. You can see how low this door is riding. That's not good. The door needs to be adjusted up, and that's done by the other bolts on those hinges, not the bolts we use to take the door off. So we need this motion this way. The only way to modify that is to undo the bolts from the inside of the car, top of the bottom, and bring this up to its right location. When we do that, I think the other thing we've got to keep in mind here is this quarter is dented, and so it's pushed, it's dented. So to get a straight panel through here is going to be dicey. I'd say what we have to do right now is, without the striker in, get this door so that it swings open and closed and lines up the 3 body lines that we have in the car, 4 body lines. That is the most critical thing. So I'm going to move you out of the way, and I'm going to work on loosening out those other hinge bolts so we can bring this door up. Okay, if you haven't played with this before, the bolts that go to the door, the bottom hinge and the top hinge, these bolts here, control the door going this way, like that. The bolts that are on this side to the car control the door going this way. So there are 3 bolts on the lower hinge on each side. 3 here, of course, that we've already taken off, and there's 3 back here. One has the head on the outside, and then there are 2 heads on the inside here that you can see there. Those 2 have to be loosened up, and then there are 2 more up at the top there. It's going to be really hard for me to show you, but they're up there. Trust me. A little hard to get at because it's up under the dash here. You can see that it's all the way up here, so a little tricky to get at. I'm going to go ahead and loosen up all of these and probably one of those. That will give me enough movement in the door up and down so that I can just tighten it now with one of these to get it where I want it. Once I know I'm happy with the movement in and out and up and down, then we'll come in and lock all these down. All right, let me get those loosened up and we'll come back. Okay, with all those bolts loosened off, you can see now the door is drooped down, and you can see that I can move it up like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it braced up so that it's probably, I don't know, a 1/4 inch, maybe a little less, maybe above this body line, and then we'll tighten it down, and then we'll check it because it will sag a little bit. So you want to tighten it with the door up higher than it needs to be when it rests. So let me get set up to do that. We'll tighten her up. Okay, I've got the door propped up where I think I want it. And if you follow the top of the body line right here across, it's slightly higher, probably not quite a quarter of an inch. I think that will be enough. We're going to try that. We'll just snug up the bottom couple bolts there, and that should give us enough to make sure that when I take the support off, that it rests back where it should be. And if we're happy, then we'll snug up all the bolts. So I did want to show you, I took the front tire off so I could get easy access to the back of the hinges here where the other bolts are. The splash shield is off, and show you back here. Just get set up. You can see, hopefully, this bolt right here. That one right there. I don't know if it's going to zoom properly, but that one right there. And then the same on the top. Those are the two bolts that you need to get access to, because often to get the door positioned right, you can't just loosen the others and move it up and down. You need those loose as well. So wanted to show you that. Okay, I've got a couple of bolts snugged up. You can see now with the support off, it's drooped down too far actually. So not good enough. It's better than where it was obviously, but this isn't where we need it. So I'm gonna back off those bolts and then prop this up a little higher, probably go over a quarter inch, I would say, to make sure that we've got the room to sag down. Let's get that done. Okay, I've got that propped up again, a little higher, almost a ½ inch higher now. Let's see if that's going to give us the space that we need. Okay, it's very close. But it's a little high. You can see right here. It needs to come down just like that. So I'm going to loosen off one of those bolts a little bit and just see if I can tap this down to get it where we like it. It's very close. That's nice right here, eh? So, very, very close. Could maybe go down just a little bit. This line here is good. And this line actually, so I don't know if I want to go any further than that. You just step back and I think that's it. This looks a little high. Let me just get a straight edge. But we've got to be mindful of this, eh? I can't get too far out of whack on that one. See, that's good. We want like the top. We need a shorter straight edge there. Yeah, that's good. This is a little off, but I want to say that I think that was probably like that from the factory. And most importantly, we got to have that lined up. The rest we can do some metal work, and then ultimately, in the final stage, some filler work to get this just mint so it has the perfect shape and blend into there. I think that's where we want to have it. The door gap to the rocker, without measuring, looks very good. The door gap here is not great. It's equal down here, wider in the middle. Again, could have been created by this dent. This dent here has likely pulled this back a little bit, so feeling pretty good with where that's at. I'm going to tighten those bolts up. Okay, I got everything tightened up. Let me tell you, that is not as easy as it might have looked. As I tightened up the other bolts, it started to draw the door up further than I wanted at the top edge and really out of alignment. So I had to loosen the bolts up, let it sag a little more on top here, and then tighten it up. I had to repeat that process about 5 times to get it to a place now where you can see the body lines are exactly where they need to be. So I've also got the striker in. Just screwed that in there, and it's pretty easy to locate, and now the door shuts nice. And so yeah, we are back in business. This door, if you recall, when we started this, had such a movement to it. Now it's just tight. It moves properly. Importantly, that hinge mechanism and the rotating pins there are working. So we're in good shape. Okay, so I'm going to say this side is done. I'm going to button up things over here, and then we're going to move over to the passenger side. Okay, we're on to the passenger side. This one is in good shape. Opens and closes nicely. The body lines are lined up. It has very little movement, but some up and down movement in the hinges. So not absolutely necessary to redo the hinges, but they are, it's just a matter of time. And so now is the time to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this door off, just like you saw me do on the driver's side. I won't record that. I'll pick you back up when I'm ready to perform surgery on the hinges. Okay, door's off, and I'm glad we're doing it because, look, and the bottom one. So you can see that bottom pin there. That's no bueno. So we're going to fix that up. I'm going to punch these pins out, and we'll get going. Okay. I think she's good to go. All right, let's get that door back on. Okay, it's all snugged up. You can see, you follow the body lines, the 4 body lines between the quarter and the door, top ledge. You can see everything lines up perfectly there. So this hinge was already set properly this way. And so this way was the only place that it could have got out of whack. And you can see here that we're flush along there. Like that's good. And we're flush along this edge here. So, and at the bottom too. The fender's a bit out of whack there, but that's just because we don't have the car gapped yet, but we are good along here. So that's it. We've got new pins in those hinges. They're all rebuilt and the doors are set where they need to be. All right, guys, all set. Hinges are all rebuilt. Pretty simple process. I hope you got something out of that. Come back next week and it's time to start tearing off this quarter. We'll see you then.